There it goes.
Good evening, gentle persons, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't. And that I also learned is like one of five out there. I didn't realize this. Like, I really did some searching through the old podcast apps. And
Hmm.
obviously, we're not actually a podcast, we're a Facebook Live show. So, totally different. But yeah, there's a few people out there doing what we do.
I think it's really
It's
smart of us.
amazing we've managed to create the gigantic following we have.
I mean, I do think we've kind of cornered the market on Facebook Live Cheers recap discussion shows.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't try to enter this market. We've got it.
We see you people wanting to talk about Frasier. That's us. That's our territory.
Right here. Right here. Did everyone have a good week?
Yeah.
Twas a
can't come-
week.
Okay.
I got my booster today. I'm feeling sore but protected.
Well boosted. Nice, nice. No side effects?
Just soreness and a general sense of cloudiness that I think might be more attributable to my age and the fact that I spent 16 months in my house.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing there that doesn't just scream potentially 47 to me.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. All right. I'm like procrastinating a tiny bit. Oh, you guys are frozen. Am I still here?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay, good. I'm
You're
procrastinating
frozen.
a little bit because this was not my favorite episode this week.
I, you
In
know
fact,
why?
I dare say my least favorite episode of season 3.
Wow. Okay.
This would have been a banger in season 2, but not only are our standards elevated by the context of everything else that's gone on in season 3, two, it's 2021 and we're all a little bit more empathetic towards mental health.
Mhm.
Yeah. Agreed.
I do think that's at least a part of it. There is at least a part of it of like whenever there's an old sitcom where the punchline is essentially mental illness, I'm like, ugh,
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't feel great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a bit of a tough watch until I felt like it did kind of like redeem itself a little bit at the end. But we'll talk more about that as we go
We
along.
will
I'm
get
sure.
there. We will get there. Let's just dig in. Dave, season 3, episode 13, A Ditch in Time. It's December 20th, Christmas just around the corner, one day away from the shortest day of the year. What was going on other than those things I just mentioned?
Really feeling the lack of Christmas energy in this particular episode of Cheers. Like, really would have
Weird, right?
preferred. Yeah, like I don't know. Like thinking back to season 1, like that the spy who came in from the cold, which is admittedly a bonkers weird episode, but there's something about the lighting in that episode that makes me nostalgic for walking around Boston in December that I was missing in this particular episode because it is December in 1984, which means that it's one more time to check in on the best-selling toys of 1984, the three most requested items
Nice.
in the stockings or under the tree or next to your menorah. Of course, the big debut that year, the Transformers.
Ooh.
Transformers came
Nice.
out and were flying off the shelves, not just the ones that turned into planes. Given backstory by Marvel Comics writer, they came with this elaborate narrative that helped disguise the fact that the toys themselves were clunky and not all that much fun to play with, to my memory, but were kind of amazing looking nonetheless.
You're accurate. The Transformer toys looked great. It's very cool what they could do, and in their vehicle form, were kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially the cars, you could roll them around. That was fun. As robots, you would kind of look at them and go, "I don't understand how you move."
They were very stiff, and
Yeah.
the engineering is amazing on them, but hard to make a fun, playable action figure, especially as someone who's used to like spending a lot of time with GI Joes, which were so articulated. Those robots felt awful clunky to me.
This is a shocker to me
Yeah,
because I never owned a Transformer um, for reasons, but they always look so cool.
they look amazing.
They
They
do
do
look
look
amazing.
They
Just
look so
as the
cool.
robot form, you couldn't do a ton with them. Like,
Damn.
yeah, they didn't stand well.
Huh.
Yeah,
No,
so it
now
was
that I'm
in their
thinking
vehicle
about it,
form.
the Optimus Prime, like a you see a lot of people with like the big silver Optimus Prime
Mhm,
fully formed and such,
Mm.
but you only ever
mhm.
see them like wiggle him.
Yeah, because he can't really do much more beyond like
Huh.
this.
Yeah,
Huh.
yep.
Huh.
Now, am I wrong? GoBots predated Transformers
Yes.
by a bit,
I think by like
and
6 months. Yeah.
yeah, disappeared very quickly. I thought GoBots had a real shot.
I was a big GoBot fan. I would have bet big on Beta and GoBots in the '80s, and I would be
Betamax.
yeah.
Damn.
That we were a GoBot Betamax family, which I think explains a lot about my middle
Did you
child
have
syndrome.
Betamax, Dave?
We did have a Betamax.
Oh my
We were
goodness.
late VHS adopters.
Ooh.
One of my favorite things is when you find someone from that era who wants to sit you down and tell you why Betamax was the superior technology and licensing killed the platform.
Mm.
They
I
will
mean,
talk and talk and talk about it.
I might have been that person at some point.
Hmm.
That's an identity I might have worn,
Hmm.
during a past life.
Were you slow on VHS but quick on Blu-ray?
No, I didn't get. I wasn't. I didn't even have a DVD player until like 2000. I think the point is, Tookie, I'm either wrong or slow.
Although you, Dave Rabinow, were one of the first people I knew who could play a CD in their car.
That's okay. Yeah, I did have a 12 CD changer, which I received, I think, for the holidays in maybe like 1990 or 91,
Whoa.
which was
Okay, that's
the
a big
best.
deal.
Can I tell
Yeah.
you something that is really, really weird? Is I know your past better than you do.
It's
Very weird because you got that car as a graduation gift. Am I incorrect? The Mercury Sable,
yeah, my dad bought it right when I graduated high school because he wanted me to
which
have a
was
car. Yeah.
92.
Yep.
And then that first summer of college, or that first Christmas of college, you got the 12 CD changer and came back with that bad boy. So you already had the best car, and then it got a little bit better.
Yeah, everything. I mean, I was living the life. Like, the early '90s were really my time. I was well funded. I was a child of privilege. I still
It
am
is
in
so
so many ways.
weird that I remember that so clearly.
I'm glad that my life has become sort of lore for you, Mike.
Hmm. You are my Lord of the Rings.
Well,
It's very
that's
weird.
why I look like fucking Gandalf. Hey, can I share a video real quick?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Because the other big Christmas toys, Rainbow Bright had debuted. He-Man was just coming out, and the biggest Christmas toy was one that you actually could not find because they did not make enough. Not make enough. They were perhaps keeping the demand high for the Cabbage Patch Kids, which led to a lot of Cabbage Patch knockoff
Oh no.
attempts. So I was looking at some commercials from '84 and stumbled across this beautiful piece of lore, which is memorable for the jingle, which will never leave your head, and of course for just pay attention to for the very intense Cabbage Patch knockoff energy.
I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. Jeffrey, I want something new to love.
There's so much to love at Toys R Us, like the Flower Kids from Blue Box, only $14.97 each. We got the whole bunch. Commonwealth Sunburst Pets, just $22.87 each, with burst announcements.
Aww.
And just $17.97 for Sanrio's Hello Kitty Playland.
More games, more
burst
toys.
announcement?
Oh boy! I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
I have questions.
Mhm.
What's a burst announcement?
I think that was their take on the birth certificate that came with the Cabbage Patch Kid. I am assume that those were burst like from a sun of some kind.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say spores, and I was gonna be very even more uncomfortable. I have
Yeah.
a lot of questions.
How sad were you if Christmas morning there was a flower kid
All right,
under your tree?
it's got to be a heartbreaking moment when you walk downstairs and you see a flower kid.
Especially if it was
forlornly.
wrapped and it's the right
Oh.
shape.
Oh, it's just a heartbreaker.
Oh,
Well, you
what's
know,
worse, that or dating for 3 years and going to Paris and being given a necklace?
I got to go with the flower kid.
well, Mike,
you can
you
recover.
and I have a friend in comedy, Lamont Price,
Mm-hmm.
who has this incredible bit about thinking he was going to receive a Nintendo.
Nintendo. And he got the cereal box.
Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
He got a cereal box.
He got Nintendo cereal instead of the NES.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's Hitler level cruelty, but that's funny.
That's rough.
That's wow.
That's rough. Yep. All right. Very, very nice. Good remembrances of that was a big Christmas, man. There were some big toys in '84.
Real banger.
Yeah.
If anybody has 7 minutes to kill, there's an excellent Canadian news report about the toys of 1984. If you Google toys 1984 Christmas, you will get an incredible Canadian broadcasting channel a news report, and it's worth every second.
Where
Canada just keeps getting better. Can
What
you share
was
that
the-
to the page, Dave?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
what was the year? What was the Christmas where people were fist fighting each other for toys? Because I know Tickle Me Elmo had a moment.
'84 it happened. There were used to be newsreels of parents just killing each other for Cabbage Patch
Jeez.
Kids.
Yeah, Tickle Me Elmo, I think was 91, maybe.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was
And it was
sometime in
this-
the
yeah.
'90s.
Yeah, it was early 90s. And it was same energy, like not enough product, and
Damn.
people revert to a savage state.
So we went from Cabbage Patch Kids to Tickle Me Elmo to toilet paper.
And now PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I am hoping for toilet paper this Christmas. Chucky, do you want to tell us about this cold open, please?
Let's get into the cold open. Also another cold open that made me deeply uncomfortable, but here we are. So Norm enters and Coach asks, "What do you have?" And he says, "A 1929 Lafitte Rothschild, or a beer, whatever everyone else is having," because that's the joke. I had to look up a Lafitte Rothschild, but I'm classy.
Also referenced in the movie Brewster's Millions.
Oh, that's a fun
Right.
time.
You guys
That's
like
fun.
Lafitte?
Cliff immediately hounds Norm about his domestic situation. He goes, "We haven't heard much about your quest to sire an heir to the old throne. How goes the baby making?" And Norm says, "Not good. Vera thinks it's my fault that she's not pregnant. And she says I'm not trying hard enough." And Cliff, of course, trying to be supportive and of course helping Norm be gentle in the situation, says, "I hope before you answer, you took into account her frustration with the maternal instinct department." And Norm says, "I told her to drop dead in a ditch. I used to think sleeping is the greatest pleasure in bed, and now I'm sure of it." And another patron at the bar says, "Hey, what's the matter? Don't you like sex with your wife?" And Norm says, "We're not exactly what each other wants in a partner. She wishes I looked a lot more like Charles Bronson, and I wish she looked less like Charles Bronson. Roll credits. All of that was just deeply unnecessary, but here we are.
Yeah, it's a Ken Eston episode. Ken, I don't know what you were doing this week other than writing, but I hope it was important. um, just disappointing. So, real quick, the B story, if you even want to call it that, is just them talking a little bit about Norm trying to have a baby, them talking about baby names, and Clifford's not on the list. Everyone wanting the name, which was like the standard sitcom trope. Nothing terribly funny popping up there. A couple of laughs, but that's essentially the B story.
I can't believe this is a week when I missed David Angel, but
For real, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And the A story, they got Carol Kane, who's a very, very talented woman, and just kind of, yeah. So the A story is a woman is in the bar. Sam starts flirting with her. It's going well. Turns out it's a friend of Diane's. Diane realizes that Sam and this woman, whose name I'd watched this episode twice, I still just say, "Oh, it's Carol Kane." I don't know the name. I don't remember her name. And
Amanda, I
didn't write it
believe.
down.
Amanda, yeah.
Amanda. But yeah, I refuse to write it down because if I keep saying Carol Kane is there, that's telling me something about this episode. And they're going to go off. Diane tries to warn Sam away from Amanda and saying, "Oh, you don't want to do this." And of course, they're doing their banter and they do go off to dinner. And he comes back and saying, "Yeah, I might take her out again." And she discloses that they were both at Golden Brook together. And apparently she gets very obsessive about men. And then she brings her parents in. Sam has a moment where they have a talk in the back room, and Norm and Cliff are there, basically because Cliff hasn't had anything to do this episode. Very, very wasted Cliff episode. He didn't have anything particularly funny happening. Goes back out. Yeah, she gets very freaked out at the thought of him breaking up with her. So, cut to the next day, he has pretended to die. She comes in mourning. I mentioned that she brought her parents in to meet Sam, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mona and Todd.
So, yeah, Diane decides, "Oh no, we need to be honest about this for some reason. I don't know why. It might have been easier to just go ahead with the Sam is dead storyline. I'm not completely sure I agree with Diane on this." They come back, and the big ending. So it looks like the big ending is simply that Diane reveals that Sam is Ralph, who she talked about in group therapy. And apparently her stories about Ralph were so bad that Amanda wants nothing to do with Sam and then leaves. And then Sam is freaked out that apparently she had so many bad things to say and she wants to know what she said. And she starts telling stories about how bad a boyfriend he really was. In particular, they started with the Christmas gifts. He gave her steak knives. She handmade a scarf that she actually dyed and had to take lessons to do. And from the description, I would really like that scarf. I do want to go on record. If that scarf is available, I would like to purchase it. And then in a weak Ted Danson episode, which I want to get into in a second, a nice moment where he says a very genuine, "I'm sorry." That he admits that he was not a good boyfriend, but that he tried his hardest with her and they had some of the best moments of his life. And he is about to say something else and she is touched and says, "No, you're going to ruin it. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it." And she leaves and he realizes what he was going to say would have ruined it. End of the episode. Okay. I have thoughts. Ted Danson has that really nice, genuine moment of "I'm sorry" and a heartfelt moment of you realizing Sam is trying to be a better person. That being said, I just felt like it was Ted Danson is the Babe Ruth of sitcoms. He owes us nothing. He's brilliant almost all the time. He was off this episode. There was just something there. And I don't know if it was that the writing was weak, but there was the you joke, the Yolanda joke. It's you or you. And that was so awkward. It didn't even get a laugh from the studio audience. It was very weird.
Yeah, the
And
vibe
his
definitely
timing seemed off, and he just didn't seem completely on board with anything going on in his storyline. And I almost feel like Ted Danson was ahead of the time and just saying, "Ugh, this This storyline is gross and I wish we weren't doing it. It was just weird. Am I the only one who felt that way?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the energy was off. I thought kind of like through the whole episode, like you could kind of feel Shelley Long trying to like pull this thing along, and finally at the end, the end in the office, she kind of has a lot of text, and she's just kind of dragging the end of that episode like up to make it something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just sort of feel Ted Danson and Shelley Long going, all right, at least we're going to have this nice moment at the end. Because everything up until this point, we have just had to suck it up and get through.
And poor Carol Kane, who's like trying to do stuff, but just like, I don't think she's got like a joke written for her really. So she's kind of like, I thought she did a really good job trying to sort of manufacture some moments and do some like what we would call like Carol Kane stuff.
Here's a joke they wrote for Carol Kane. Do you know of a nice place where they don't require socks?
What?
What? That's something that her character says when they're flirting before we know that she supposedly has issues. Like a place where they don't have socks. Did you cut out something that made that line make sense?
Like she is so good at playing weirdos and playing weirdos that deliver weird, complicated thoughts. Like Lillian is such an incredible, like that performance in Kimmy Schmidt is frequently amazing because she's got to deliver these like tongue twisters of punchlines, and like 90% of the time she nails it. And then she's like to not give her something like that to do in this episode seemed kind of it's just like a wasted resource.
You know where I recognize her from, though?
What's that?
Reruns of Taxi.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Lotka's
I recognize her as Lotka's wife.
Yeah. And she's a brilliant in it.
Yeah.
Like so alive, so bubbly, and like she's trying.
She's doing her best. I mean, it's just a weird episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a total just kind of like dip, and like and yeah, and watching it with a 2021 perspective doesn't help at all.
It doesn't. But I will say, a lot of the times, and I watch a lot of old sitcoms, there are moments where I go, ew, I don't feel great about that, but I can still appreciate the writing involved. And there are well-written jokes, and there's good acting, and I can appreciate that and understand that it's from a different time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I watch old episodes of I Love Lucy, and I'm like, I know he's going to spank her at some point in this episode, and it's going to be very weird. But everything around that, I still appreciate the genius of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. This episode, it was just bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like the follow-up album to a big hit that they had to get out so that they could tour.
This is you saying that this is Cheers's Red Weezer album.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It's got a definite rattle and hum energy to it.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying.
Rattle and Hum had too much going on. Tookie, this is the part of the podcast where we litigate U2's 90s album or 80s albums. I hope that's cool.
I'm processing. I'm processing. This is a whole lot. This is a whole lot. Oh God.
Just a weird episode. Before we get to the categories, does anyone want to say positive stuff about it or just bury it even further?
I'll say like one thing I found myself delighted by, which like it's a tiny, like all the charm in this episode are tiny weird little like moments or circumstances, and so like I loved, and I guess I even like that they don't address this. Like clearly Mona and Todd, Carol Kane's parents, clearly there's a story there. And I love that they don't really get into it. But I mean, God bless those two actors. They came in loaded for bear. They made a choice, and they're both like on the same page with it. We love our daughter, and she's done this before, and we're always on board every time she introduces us to a new man. Like, I loved that energy, and it was a bummer that they went away. Although I thought that was like the fact that she was so willing to ditch them was kind of like one of the few funny things that Carole King got a chance to play.
Yeah, just dropping him off at the bus stop.
I just briefly looked up top 10 failed follow-up albums. Number 1, Peter Frampton, I'm In You.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's
Oh.
boy. Peter Frampton, that's not the guy that can title an album.
Nope.
That's
Nope. Number 10 was Fleetwood Mac's Tusk.
Tusk is good. Tusk is weird and good.
Yeah.
Like the editor, Dave.
And number 9 is Hootie and the Blowfish's Fairweather Johnson.
God.
Oh.
God.
Is that a worse title than I'm In You?
Ooh, wow. If those two are on the same cassette back to back and I was offered the cassette for free with a hot fudge sundae, I think I'd still say no.
Frisbee it. Toss it.
Man.
Aerosmith, Draw the Line, number 8.
Great title track. I'll go to bat for the title track 9 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at least I would go to bat for Draw the Line as well. Not as an album, but they had a hit.
Queen's A Day at the Races failed, according to this list. And Led Zeppelin 3.
I take a big issue with this. Led Zeppelin 3 is a weird folk rock masterpiece.
Okay. You know, another list that I just consulted said Bad. They include Bad as a failed follow-up album. I think Bad is actually better than Thriller.
I mean, like,
I
how
don't
do
know
you...
that I would say that, but Bad had a lot of great
Bad had
songs
some
on it.
that was a good album.
If
You
all
can't-
Bad was Smooth Criminal as a single, it deserves some love.
The title track I love.
I mean, like,
That is a great album.
if you're gonna judge an album based on the sales of the previous album, like it's impossible to follow up Thriller. Bad is a solid piece of work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
From,
think Bad had like 5 #1 hits off of it.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. The title track, Liberian Girl. What was another one? There
Man
was
in
some
the Mirror.
Man in the was that on Bad?
That was Bad.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I crazy? Man in the Mirror was off Bad, right?
Might have been, yeah, I think so. And then
I
there was our
think,
first taste of White Michael. He was in a new era.
Smooth Criminal, Dirty Diana.
Yeah. Yeah. Smooth Criminal. I mean, come on. Iconic. That lean in the shoes.
One of the greatest videos ever. Better than Thriller. I will go to bat. Better than Thriller.
The Way You Make Me Feel, that's a great song.
That's a great
Thank
one.
you. Yep.
We never found out if Annie was okay, though.
True.
Annie was not okay.
Annie was not okay.
You just gotta take my word for it. When you have to ask that many times, they're not okay.
But on the list that also names Nirvana's In Utero and the Beach Boys' Smiley Smile alongside Bad. Number 1 letdown album, The Beatles' Let It Be.
I mean, that's fair. That Phil Spector record is a mess. It's a beautiful mess, but it's a mess.
As is Phil Spector.
Well, yes.
I'm not RIP-ing him or his fro.
No. Fuck that guy forever.
Let's get into some categories here.
Right.
We got a joke of the week. I only have one, so I'm going first so no one takes it.
Go
Because
for
I
it.
only had one submission for it. When they're talking about baby names and boys and girls, and Cliff says, yeah, you could use Sonar now. And Coach said, Sonar is a beautiful name. Yeah, Coach also had almost nothing to do this week. That line made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And it more of a chuckle. So that was my joke of the week. Tookie, have you got a joke of the week?
We've got a Trevor joke,
Okay.
which wasn't a haha. It was just like like we didn't haha at this episode so much as we like gasped a little bit. So the Trevor joke is when Diane says, "I don't think you dumped me," and Sam says, "And that's the beauty of it."
That wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
It was well crafted.
Yeah. My runner up is more or less a moment when Norm, Cliff, Diane, and Sam are in the back pool room, and Norm stares at Diane for the money.
I did giggle.
That was
Yeah. That's my
That was
runner up. But the thing that at least got me to react was when Amanda says to Sam after she goes, strong arms him into being with her and going down to the Cape. She says, "I'll get my parents and we'll drop them off at the bus stop." And I squawked because that's messed up. Yeah, it wasn't funny. It just squawked.
Mona and Todd there's a story, man. I would watch the Mona and Todd spinoff.
Their parents, you got to respect. You feel like every time they walk in, they're like, maybe this guy will be the one. That's optimism.
I loved that choice so much. It was really like outside of Diane and Carol Kane, they were bringing the most heat this week in terms of just raw energy, and I appreciated it.
Dave, what's your joke of the week?
Oh, jeez, it's slim pickings out there. I'll go with Carol Kane's exit and then Sam's reaction. So Carol Kane looks at Sam as she's leaving and says, "I'll think of you every time I see something scurry under the sink," and walks out. And Sam kind of stands there and looks at Diane and says, "I don't mean to seem ungrateful." Again, not a great joke, but kind of a fun moment.
Tookie, how white was this episode?
Surprisingly not too white. We had a lot. We had a good amount this episode. So we had in the opening, right at the opening, a black man at the door when Norm enters, and then there was a man. We're gonna call vaguely ethnic men of a certain skin tone Dominican. So we're just gonna presume here everybody's just pre-incident Sammy Sosa, and so there was a man, an ethnic man who passed by Norm when he was at the bar. So, and then in the first scene, we had a black couple at the front of the bar. A black man stepping down from the front room where the booths are near the front door. A black man behind Sam as he was hitting on Amanda, and a black couple behind Diane at the piano when she was warning Sam about Amanda. And then it's not quite scene 2. I listed it as scene 1.0. But we had a black couple that entered the bar, a black couple at the jukebox, a black man in a gray suit at the front of the booth sitting, and a black couple sitting on the side wall by the stairs to Melville's. And then in actual scene 2, there it was sort of a continuation of the scene. So I don't know if I'm necessarily going to count them per se, but it was a continuation. So you have the black couple sitting by the stairs of Melville's talking to another woman of color, who was wearing just a whole purple I mean, she looked like a fabulous grape. It was like a sweater vest and matching pants with a blouse underneath. It was fantastic. And then you had a black man pass behind Amanda, and like he circled the bar and headed to the door. So I think that was the same guy who did another round around the bar. And then in the third scene, there was a black man behind Carla during the baby name thing, a black man by the piano, a couple by the jukebox, a different couple, a black man behind Diane at the booth, and then 2 black men at the piano who you could see standing at the piano every time they opened the door to Sam's office. So like a good amount this week, like a almost, I want to say, an accountant's convention. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, 17.
Right.
It might not be a convention, but that's a
It's a
firm.
good amount. It's like a really good amount. I was like, wow, we're packing them in. We're packing them in.
the second viewing, I did notice quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a
Yeah.
bit. All right, I've been giving this some thought. Tookie, 80s moment of the week. I'm going to give you your choice. You can go first and list one thing, or you can go third and do your Tookie list of 9 things.
Oh no, I've only got 2 for this week, but I'll go last.
Okay, so you'll go third. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Dave, what's your 80s moment of the week?
Oh, geez. I think we already kind of touched on it, but I'll go with the way mental health was played exclusively for LARFs in this episode. And they just did that. And the suicide joke especially hit poorly, very poorly. And I felt bad for Ted Danson in that moment having to act it in 1984, and I felt double bad for me having to watch it in 2021. So yeah, the funny way that people struggle with coping with the day-to-day existence, isn't it hysterical? That's my 80s moment.
Yeah. All right, I'm going a little simpler. My 80s moment is steak knives. Steak knives were a go-to joke and reference point in the 80s, and that stopped after a little while. And I think it was because of the Ginsu knife infomercials and commercials and the mail orders. Like, it was just a big TV thing of steak knives. I remember Glengarry Glen Ross, he had said steak knives. Steak knives were this like trope of a bad gift. You get steak knives, you give steak knives. I don't think it is a thing anymore. I have not heard it as a reference point in years and years and years. So that is my 80s moment of the week. Steak knives being an go-to punchline for a bad gift.
Which is unfortunate because now at 47, like, I would kill for good knives are the most useful thing. I own 1.5 like usable knives. Like I have one nice chef's knife and one fairly usable kitchen knife, and everything else is garbage. And every time I pick up a garbage knife, I'm filled with rage. I don't have to live like this, but I do.
So your 1.5 good knives, as we reference steak knives, is it for like cutting your own steak, or do you just have a good big knife to cut things with in the kitchen?
I have one excellent kitchen knife, which I was gifted last year. And then I have one serviceable big kitchen knife. And then like our actual steak knives are hot garbage. And I wish I had, please, if anybody out there is thinking about what to get me for the holidays, get me a set of steak knives. I will treasure them.
This is a great way to find out if Dave's family ever watches this show.
Spoiler, they do not.
Oh,
Good to know. All right, Tookie, your 80s moments.
before we get into just 2, I have a question. Who the hell is Charles Bronson?
Wow.
Looked this
Oh, man.
I looked this man up. The first thing I saw was a mustache, and I X'd out the window. Who the hell? Who the hell
Charles
is
Bronson. An interesting dude.
Okay.
He became very famous for this series of movies called Death Wish
Oh.
in the 70s.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, he was also in a brilliant movie called Once Upon a Time in the West
Okay.
with Jason Robards and Henry Fonda. And if you ever think that Westerns are just hot garbage, watch that. Once Upon a Time in the West is a really, really great film. But Charles Bronson is clearly best known for these essentially like aggrieved, angry white man railing against crime in the 70s. So Death Wish, like these street punks kill his family, and he has to go out there and take the law into his own hands. And they made a whole bunch of those. And Bruce Willis remade it a few years back.
So
It
he was
is-
sort of the precursor to John Wick.
Yeah, no, John Wick.
Okay.
John Wick was avenging his puppy
Okay, fair.
and
fair,
killing Russians.
Fair.
And I can't stress enough how much I love John Wick and loathe the Death Wish movies. If There was like a screening at a drive-in for CPAC. They would show Death Wish. It is
Yeah.
very much of that. It is kind of in. It was a really sort of bargain basement Dirty Harry.
Yeah, I was gonna say it really is kind of like a shadow version of Dirty Harry.
Yeah, Dirty Harry, which has aged very poorly, but you can also look back at it. Clint Eastwood is a magnetic figure, and they do some interesting things. And the writing in Dirty Harry is I would say quality, just misguided. And as those movies went on, they got a little bit better. But yeah, it was this fantasy of crime is out of control, and the cops. Yeah, the whole idea is the cops, are too limited. They can't do what needs to be done. So we either need one rogue cop who doesn't play by the rules, or a Joe Q citizen who's going to arm himself and go out and do what needs to be done. It was, that's Charles Bronson.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. Just needed some clarity.
Yeah, there you
Because
go.
I Googled, saw a mustache, clicked off.
That's what does you see a mustache and you're gone.
Yeah, no. Can't do it. Can't do it. See the 80s mustache? I'm out. I knew this is not for me.
I will not send you a Keith Hernandez baseball card as a holiday present.
Oh, man. Okay, so my two 80s moments. One, I mean, this must have been a line flub or something, or written by a dude who's never been in an exam room during gestational inspections of sorts. I don't know. What's the phrasing of that? Sonar to check out the baby rather than ultrasound. What? When did we make? I should have Googled when we made the switch over to ultrasound officially. But sonar, calling it sonar, kind of leapt out as at me as like, was this actually the primitive technology, or was it that the guy who wrote this? Because a guy definitely wrote this episode.
Ken Eston.
Yeah, no offense to present company, of course, but was the guy who wrote this just like really uninformed about, prenatal care? And then the other thing that leapt out at me as distinctly 80s was Amanda's funeral makeup when she was dressed up to mourn Sam. That sort of super thick contour, while the rest of your face is pale and you're wearing all black, that felt like a very distinctly 80s makeup look.
Wow, I never would have caught that. Excellent.
Only
all right,
two this
very
week.
80s, very 80s morning makeup. There you go. Well, that's a rabbit hole I'm going to be falling down later tonight. All right. Our final category.
Mike's going to end up on a Cure fan site pretty quickly.
No.
Sam creepy quotient.
13.
Yeah, I don't know how to break this down. In some ways, very creepy. In some ways, very sincere at the end. That whole idea of I'm sorry and I'm doing my best and I know I was not a good boyfriend, but I cared very deeply about you, and being able to, own your shittiness on some level, I thought lowered his score a bit. But he also had a moment where he was reveling in the fact that she was going to kill herself and he was going to be okay, which brings it way up the charts. Just a weird Sam week.
I was so grateful for that last 5 minutes, and it was like, oh right, this is what they're really good at. Is this that back and forth, emotionally charged banter? It had been a while since we'd also seen that Diane and Sam actually do still kind of care about each other. I felt like so that was nice to see. And I felt like they kind of nailed it. Shelley Long especially, I thought, with that the scarf monologue essentially was really kind of amazing. But yeah, I was glad. It really saved this episode from the total scrap heap was giving Sam that moment of self-awareness. And that was it was just, thank God for that glimmer of I'm bad at this, and I tried, and I was better when I was with you, or at least I wanted to be better when I was with you. Gave him a little bit of a patina of complexity that he didn't have for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, he's at a 13 for me this week. It would have been about a 28, but I knocked down some points because of that end scene. Yeah.
Yeah, that end scene is like
Can't argue it.
it's the cherry orchard chopping sound effect in terms of like how much lifting it does emotionally for the rest of the episode. I'm never going to come back to this episode probably, but at least I will remember one thing shockingly fondly.
Yes. That is the one thing to take away with you.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything to plug this week?
Do we? Shoot. Are you up to anything, Mike?
No, I don't think so.
Oh. Oh.
I might be doing a gig Friday, but I have not heard back, so we'll see.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. Oh, I'm having friends over for dinner on Friday, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, we're having another couple because we do married people things, so we're hanging out with another married couple.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have not done that in quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a dinner. It's a dinner party. I might Instagram some of the foods.
Oh, send it out.
I feel like the ice storm has really scarred me for inviting other couples to do things.
Ice storm.
Yeah.
That's your only framework for hanging out with other couples is Rick Moody's The Ice Storm.
I'm sorry, did I pretend to be healthy?
I'm
I
concerned
think
now.
so.
Do you not like go near will you not drive during icy weather, particularly so you don't get electrocuted by power lines?
That's exactly it.
What
That is
the hell?
exactly it.
What?
Oh boy,
Just because I'm getting ready to be Spider-Man soon.
I've never
What?
read the book, but the Ang Lee adaptation is a bleak look at life in the 70s.
Oh boy.
A very well-made movie, but
Yes.
oh, yeah.
Okay, well, to be fair, I saw a tweet earlier in the week that where someone said the 70s looked like they smelled bad, and I fully believe it.
Well said. A lot of thick carpeting that I felt like held on to odors.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of like layered fabrics that not natural fabrics that aren't going to breathe, that they're you're going to be sweaty, and yeah, I agree. It's a stinky decade.
Yeah. I remember the commercials for the carpet powder that you used to have to leave on the shag carpeting. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sprinkled it on, you let it sit there for like an hour, and then you vacuumed it up, and your carpet smelled better.
Mm.
Yeah, because we had stinky fucking carpets. It was a horrible time. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, you spill one thing, and that's with you forever.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. We had no stain blocking technology in the 70s.
Okay, but wasn't
You had
DuPont
polyester
poisoning
or it
everybody?
stayed forever.
No, but wasn't DuPont poisoning everybody with Scotch Guard?
Oh, yeah, we were definitely dying.
Okay.
Oh, we died.
Yeah, we smelled terrible, and death came quicker. It was a great
Scotch
time.
Guard was a scam. Yeah, that didn't work.
Oh.
You,
No.
you lied to yourself.
Oh. Okay. But you know how every family has the one aunt whose house is sort of stuck in a decade?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I definitely have a 70s aunt stuck
Nice.
in that decade. And I think I can scent is the strongest tie to memory
Mhm.
for the human brain. I think I can smell her house and I'm sad about it.
Oh,
No, it's okay. I'll recover. But I think I can smell her house now.
like,
And
is
yeah,
she
the
no longer
70s
with
look
us?
like
Or
they smell terrible.
in some ways they did. In some ways they did.
What did smell good in the 70s? There had to have been something.
I mean, it was a good cologne decade, I think I would say.
I bet Robert Reed smelled phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet you could smell Robert Reed coming and you did not mind it.
If you were into like a men's musk, I think the 70s were quite good for you.
Okay.
I feel like that is something that has really died off in the 21st century is the idea of men in cologne.
I'm
Like
gonna.
when I was young, it seemed like it was very important that you had a cologne and you had a fragrance. And that is no longer the case, I don't think.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that because
Okay.
I live in a building with an elevator and there's a very spicy man on the 6th floor.
Okay.
And B, a former boss of mine used to like bathe in Dracar Noir.
Mhm.
You could smell that man 2 buildings away.
Fair. But my counterpoint would be you're almost proving my point
Damn it.
in that it is unique enough that you know that guy on the 6th floor is the guy that has the cologne.
Yeah.
And you remember that boss is the Dracar Noir guy. If it was 1976, that's just the elevator.
Damn. That's
See
terrible.
what I'm saying?
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Michael
Every
Jordan.
elevator was spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a
The
spicy
world
elevator
was
decade.
spicy.
Damn.
Absolutely. Because you got to remember, too, the elevator also had fabric on the sides.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Why was everything upholstered? No, I'm like losing my
We thought
mind
it was
now.
classy.
We didn't
What the
know better, Tookie.
We liked color.
Oh my god. No,
We
I'm
wanted-
actually like losing it right now.
We wanted stuff to be soft, and I guess
God.
absorbent, it was a bad
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
No. No. No, this just sent me over the edge. Oh man,
Yeah.
I need a nap.
I'm sorry. You were born at the right time.
I thought
We
the
carry
worst.
these scars so you don't have to.
No, see, I thought the worst thing that I would see today was Dr. PP, but no, learning about upholstered elevators.
Yeah.
Mike, do you know about Dr. PP? It's a
No.
2-for-1 deal on tacos for $100.
What?
2 tacos and a half liter of Dr. PP for $99.99 at Burger Bing.
I don't know what any of this is. And I'm afraid to guess. Like, I can't tell if this is like a.
No, we're completely serious. I'm dead serious right
Okay.
now.
All right. There's a doctor who sells
No.
tacos?
It's not a medical professional, Mike.
Okay. There's a restaurant where you get tacos.
I'll post it to the page.
Okay.
Follow,
Yeah,
like,
I need
and
to see this,
subscribe for
apparently.
Dr. PP.
I need to see it. Show me.
No, you don't.
I am here for Dr. Pee. Can't be worse than Charles Bronson. Can't be.
Might be.
All right. Well, on the note of Dr. Pee, I think it's time to wrap it up.
I just Googled Dr. Pee and now I can't fly domestically anymore.
You can only look up Dr. Pee in DuckDuckGo.
Oh boy, I
Otherwise,
fucked up
it's in
big
your
time.
computer forever.
There's actually a van outside my house now.
All right. Dave's going to go deal with the interrogation. For Dave, for Tookie, I'm Mike. We're going to be back next week with an episode that is almost guaranteed to be better. Stay safe. Stay happy. Bye, everybody.